Hi everyone, and welcome to the Cyberpulse podcast. Before we get into the details of today's episode, I want to talk about two different things. The first thing that I want to address is because of a question. A lot of people asked me how do certain guests talk or be part of certain episodes. So basically, it all begins through a LinkedIn post. I'd post about the podcast on LinkedIn or about the episode or the topic that I want to discuss on a certain episode on LinkedIn. I'll get a lot of volunteers. Then there's going to be a lot of back and forth where I will coordinate with the people who volunteered so that we can choose a date and a time to start recording the podcast. So basically, this is how I choose my guests. Now, before we begin today's episode, I want to share something honestly, like it kind of affected me. So I'm just gonna share it. I think it's important to address these things. I recently received feedback that wasn't constructive at all, and it made me reflect on why I started this podcast in the first place. This space was created for genuine conversations, for people who are curious, for people who are learning and building, and for people who are already walking their path in cybersecurity. So, whether you're a student or a professional, this podcast isn't about impressing everyone. It's about connection, growth, and honest dialogue. Not every topic will resonate with everyone, and that's okay. But there is a huge difference between constructive feedback and discouragement. One helps you grow, the other quietly shuts conversation down. I'm not here to force anyone to listen or participate. I'm here to have real conversations with people who want to show up with respect, curiosity, and openness. If you're someone who believes in shared learning, thoughtful discussion, and supporting people who are trying to build something meaningful, then this space is for you. Now, moving on to today's episode. Today's episode is about spyware and the loss of privacy. This is not a technical episode. We won't talk about tools, methods, or details that shouldn't be shared publicly. This is an awareness conversation because spyware is quiet, it doesn't make noise, and most of the time people don't realize anything is wrong until privacy starts to feel different. Now, I feel like today is going to be a very interesting episode because I have three guests today and I've never had three guests before. So let's see how I'll manage this. So, gentlemen, thank you for agreeing to be part of this episode. Can you please do me the honors and introduce yourselves to the audience and tell me a little bit about yourselves and what you do?
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you, Shaykha, for having me today. My name is Zarubil Maleh. I work as a software engineer at KTC International. I hold a bachelor's degree in computer science from the Lebanese American University, and currently I'm pursuing a professional graduate diploma in cybersecurity at the American University of Beirut. I'm here today to shed light on the importance of privacy in the digital world.
Okay, great. Thank you for participating, Robil. DR?
Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for having me today. I'm Dr. Sadi Ali. I'm basically a computer security researcher, also the public speaking from Europe and Middle East and Asia. So I'm not working for any companies. So I just work as an independent researcher and sharing the articles on the internet that everyone can get a benefit from it.
So Hadi, what about you?
Hello, everyone. I'm Hadi Sleiman. I'm a Qatar University student studying computer science. I do a lot of cybersecurity research and I do a lot of AI driven solutions. And I was present to pitch my solution at the AI World Summit a few weeks ago.
Interesting. How did that end for you? Did you actually enjoy the summit?
I really did enjoy it, and I actually met a lot of people, a lot of companies, and you expose yourself to a lot of investors and so on. So yeah, it's an open gate.
True. I'm glad you experienced this. It's a very good experience for a person like you. So moving on, gentlemen, let's keep this simple. Spyware is software that watches actively without the person knowing. That's all we need to say. What makes spyware uncomfortable is that it doesn't stop you from using your device, it just stays in the background. And being watched without knowing feels a bit personal. Why do you think the idea of being watched makes people uncomfortable?
Because when we feel watched, we lose a sense of freedom. Even in everyday life, if we know someone is observing us, we act differently by default. We become more careful, less natural. While online, it feels even worse because we don't know who's watching, when, or why. That uncertainty creates discomfort. It's not always fear, it's the feeling that something personal is happening without our control or without even our consent.
True. I resonate when it comes to that. So, DR, why does spyware feel more serious than other online threats?
Well, first of all, we have to know what's the spyware. So basically, spyware is a malicious software that designed for tracking the user activities in the mobile devices, in their daily digital devices that this person is using. The main reason that spyware is quite a look different because of the capabilities of this specific spyware that designed for specific target on the environment. I believe that each spywares, commercial and non-commercial, have some kind of evasive capabilities that make it different than other types of malware.
Interesting answer, DR. I think we will organize an episode where we will get into the intricate details of this. Hadi, do you think most people really understand what spyware is?
I think the name gives it off, spyware. I mean, for normal people, I don't think they would really know what spyware really does because it's not like they will interact with it at any point. It's meant to spy on you.
True.
So I'm pretty sure a few years ago, a lot of people had spyware and no one would know about it.
Do you think something made that term famous, or did it just happen by chance?
I think it's the name, the spyware name. It's pretty cool name, I would say.
Okay.
Or, oh, I have a spyware or I created a spyware. It's like you created a ghost that lives on people's laptop and they don't get to know when it's on and when it's off.
True, I like that. I like that answer. Moving on, gentlemen. Many people believe spyware only happens to others. They say things like, I'm not important. I'd notice if something was wrong with my device. And this only happens to certain people. But privacy loss doesn't start with importance, it starts with feeling too safe. Why do people think online risks are for other people only, not for themselves?
Yeah, so basically, it's some kind of the misunderstanding in a cyberspace. So the threat is designed for two parties, for targeted persona and for general target. The most of the people in the Middle East and around the world, they feel that the malware doesn't design it for me. It's only designed for maybe diplomatic person, a businessman, or the corporate environment. But actually, that's a wrong misconception that malwares and the digital risk and losing the privacy is actually affect everyone in the digital space because actually we are all part of the internet, and so if there's something change, this change affected our devices and our privacy also.
True. I like your answer. I like how you put this together. So, Hadi, what makes people trust their devices too much?
I think it's based really on psychological reasons. I mean, the dopamine we get from notifications or perfect predictions, or, it feels magical. We trust phones like they're flawless. We store our secrets, bank details. We even confess to ChatGPT and AI agents these days more than we did with humans. And this is where spyware gets in because spyware exploits this. So, like, for example, it turns this secure, cute environment of you confessing to ChatGPT, saving your bank details, your card on websites. It becomes a playground for the spyware to record everything, the mic, the camera, your keyboard, and steal all of your data. And most importantly, the fact that we get to design. So, when you start designing your laptop, you set the background, the theme, whatsoever, it becomes so much, it feels safe. It feels like another home for you. So you would never assume that this home is going to be listening, recording everything you do to one day to literally bankrupt you.
Interesting perspective. I love how you brought AI into this because a lot of people would assume a student like you would paint AI as if it's all rainbows and butterflies. I'm so glad you mentioned that AI is a double-edged sword. So thank you for that. So, Robel, do you think we've become too comfortable online?
Definitely, yes. We have become too comfortable online since comfort comes first from repetition. When things work smoothly for a long time, we stop questioning what's happening behind the screen. By this, convenience slowly replaces awareness and caution fades without us noticing.
True. So our devices are personal. They hold messages, photos, daily habits. So when that space is watched without permission, it feels like a line has been crossed. Privacy isn't about hiding, it's about control. Why do people mix up privacy and secrecy?
Privacy is normal and good. It's your right to decide who sees your personal stuff like messages, photos. Everybody needs to feel safe. But when it comes to secrecy, it's like, it's hiding something bad, something wrong. In the age of spyware,
Yes.
companies and governments say if you have nothing to hide, why do you need privacy? And I feel like this is sort of a trick. It makes people think wanting privacy means you're hiding something bad.
True.
They use this excuse to spy on journalists, activists, even normal people. So when someone gets caught by spyware, others call them suspicious instead of blaming the spying. It's like, why would you be worried about someone recording what you do on your laptop if it's not illegal? And they're two different things. You can have privacy and be on the good side. And secrecy, it sounds a little suspicious to me, and people sometimes use it to blame the victim instead of the spyware itself.
Do you think this happened to us because of the way they illustrated things?
Kind of. I mean, personally, I don't think any of us have privacy online. I'm sure if any entity that is, has enough power, they can grab any information.
Moving on, Rabil, when does digital monitoring start to feel wrong?
Actually, it starts to feel wrong when we lose clarity and real choice. Monitoring becomes uncomfortable when it happens quietly without us fully understanding what's being collected or how it's used. The issue isn't always monitoring itself, it's the lack of transparency, since we don't know the collected data where they are using it.
True, but do you think we click yes on everything without actually reading? I feel a lot of people do this. They click yes to everything, but we don't know what are we giving our consent to.
100%. Actually, this is the trick. If you download any app or you'll see a very big list of agreement, allow or agree. So directly by default, it's a human nature. We do it click because we are busy with other stuff. We don't have the time to read all of this list or all of these bullet points. So, and if you didn't allow, you cannot proceed forward. So we will click allow without even reading. So yes, we don't know what will happen in weeks or months.
True, I agree when it comes to that. So, DR, do people treat their devices like personal spaces?
Yeah, of course, everyone's, even me and yours, and Robil, maybe Hadi, that treat their device like a personal domain. So actually, nowadays, digital devices such as computers, mobile, any kind of interconnected devices treated as personal domains. And that's reasonable if we take cares about privacy of their devices.
Even thinking you might be watched can change how you act. People start to think twice before typing, avoid certain topics, and they start to feel uneasy when they are using their own devices. This feeling doesn't go away quickly. So, DR, why do you think it affects them emotionally?
In a psychological view, if you look on the Maslow pyramid, they are in the one of the point, the love and emotional aspect is based on the human natures. So the touch and the love, it's basically something default policy in the human natures and human beings. So the threat actors will sometimes exploiting these vulnerabilities, we can call it, in the human beings to stealing the information or sometimes to install a spyware on our digital devices. If you look on some kind of the incidents that happened in the past few years, most of the attacks happen through the emotional ways, like fake persona, personalized approach to gain access on their target.
Interesting perspective. Hadi, why does trust in devices break so easily?
I mean, it's because we think phones are always safe, but one hidden spyware attack can steal everything. I actually think spyware these days is not really labeled as spyware. It's more of, I feel like the advanced version of it is the zero-click day attacks. And I feel zero-click days attacks are the reason people don't trust their devices because it doesn't require you to literally download any file or to allow nothing. A simple application like WhatsApp that you use every day can have a zero-click day attack and they can steal all of your information, all your pictures, all your messages, and this can apply to any other app. So how can you trust these apps when you literally can be aware of all the cybersecurity parts of like phishing and whatsoever and still get hacked without you doing anything because the device you have is really not safe. So why would you trust something that someday can literally leave you on the internet exposed or get you in?
True, but do you think sometimes people trust the technology more than what they're actually doing with that technology? Like just because a certain company says our product is actually safe, then they would believe it because that's what the company stated.
I think for people to actually trust these companies, you need to know how their privacy is working. I mean, you can ask many people if WhatsApp is private, safe, and they will just tell you, oh, it has end-to-end encryption, but no one really understands what end-to-end encryption even is.
Exactly.
And even with that, you can still get hacked. People just take whatever the company gives them and they just, oh yeah, it's private. Oh, it protects your messages. No. So why do you trust it? Why do you trust something you are not aware of? You don't know how it works. You have no idea. You just trusted what the company said. But one day you leave yourself vulnerable to whatever attack they might come up with in the future.
True, interesting perspective. Rabil, who do you think needs to hear this conversation the most?
Everyday users, especially those of us who think privacy only matters if you are doing something wrong. Privacy isn't about hiding, it's about having control over our personal space. So everyday users, my answer will be.
Okay, interesting. So moving on, spyware is often talked about as a tech problem, but it's also a human problem. It affects how safe people feel. It affects trust, and once trust is broken, it's hard to get it back. Hadi, why is the human side often ignored in cybersecurity?
Most of the spyware attacks happen without any mistakes from the victim or the user in general. These spyware exploit vulnerabilities in the apps you use every day, but companies still blame people and spend money only on tech fixes. Every time you get a spyware on your device, it's probably because this hacker exploited a vulnerability in the app you're using, but the company is still gonna blame you in a way or another because you were not educated enough or whatsoever, and still ignore that their code is.
Don't you think it's easier for them to paint it that way than to explain the reality of the situation?
I don't think any company is gonna come out and say, hey guys, we have a really bad code and you should stop using our app. I think they're just gonna blame the user or make the hacker sound majestic for some reason. Why is the human side often ignored in cybersecurity? Like ignored when the attack happens, or in what term?
Moving on, Rabil, privacy be talked about outside tech spaces?
Absolutely. Privacy affects relationships, work, mental health, and daily life. It's not just a technical issue, it's a human one, and everyone should feel included in the conversation. So not only restricted to tech spaces.
It's an interesting perspective. I'll give you that much. Dr, who do you think needs to hear this conversation the most?
Yeah, so basically, this question depends on the target. Maybe if they are a diplomatic guy, they need to have the conversation together or gather information. Or maybe they are business competitor, they hear the conversation and spying on their other competitor activities to beat their own business or be a top in the industry. It depends on the target, actually. We have to know that spyware doesn't affect everyone's normal users in general if we talk about the spyware cases, but the normal malware, yeah, it may that affect everyone's, even teachers, normal users, competitor, businessmen, and so on.
If I asked you to give me an example, would you be able to do that?
Well, for example, we have a businessman A and we have the businessman X. So The businessman A have some plans to improve their company structures, to boost more monies, to collect more monies. And the businessman X will maybe use the spywares and to hear the conversation to beat the businessman A. Or if we change it to other diplomatic ones, it's a diplomatic A and diplomatic X. Diplomatic X want to hear the diplomatic A to gather more information and maybe in the future use against them.
Interesting perspective. I think you painted that very well. So moving on. So Rabil, do you think people talk enough about this side of privacy?
Not really. Most conversations focus on tools, settings, or laws. I mean, the technical part. But we don't experience privacy as a setting, we experience it emotionally. That human side is often missing from the discussion. So we should talk enough about the digital privacy, digital maturity, and be aware of what's happening behind the screens and for what purposes our data is being collected, and many question marks will follow.
Interesting. So you think we should explore the emotional side of it too?
100%.
Why do you think that's important? In your own opinion, let's say.
I will provide one example. If they collected my data, for example, I have data not limited for one thing. For example, my financial data, my credentials for the bank application or whatever. If someone is spying on my PC or on my device and I'm writing these credentials or even credentials for social media apps, so I don't know who have the credentials, so he can access at the same time. For example, if someone knows the credentials of my Instagram account, so when I log in, he or she have access to my chats, to my feed, what's my activity, and everything without even me noticing. This part related to emotional because this is privacy.
Interesting perspective for sure. To be honest, I never thought about it this way. So moving on, this episode is not about teaching people how spyware works. It's about helping people think, because awareness changes behavior. When people know privacy can fade quietly, they become more careful. Rabil, again, why is awareness more important than details?
I can provide a real life example.
Go ahead, please.
So, from 2 weeks ago, I received an email on my Outlook from Microsoft. So, because I'm learning cybersecurity and I'm aware of all of these stuff. So, first of all, I'll never press on a link. Microsoft, the first letter is M. In the email that I received, it's RN. So, if you focus, you will see the difference. That is, it is RN, not Microsoft. Previously, I got this from Microsoft because I requested to change a password. So this password, I didn't click it for sure, the link, because it's not from Microsoft, because I'm aware. So awareness is more important than details, because no one will give attention maybe to details. Maybe they are busy in their work or other stuff.
Interesting perspective. So, Hadi, what happens when too much details is shared publicly?
That becomes the best target for awesome tools online. I mean, the more available data online about a person or a company, the more it's easy for a cyber attack to happen to them, because the first step in a cyber attack is to locate information. And the more information you have, the more easier it becomes to actually launch the attack on you, to exploit your system, especially for spyware, because I would know what tools I need to make to spy on you. For example, if I want to make keyloggers, the attack that happened on Bangladesh, the $1 billion attack, the first thing they did was collect information about this bank, available information, and they knew the system they were using, and they made a spyware that does nothing but keylog the keyboard. And they were able to locate the admin password, and they were able to transfer about $1 billion to many banks, including Philippines and other banks, in a few seconds. And when the bank closes, it's all about public information. Even the time a company closes and opens can be used in a cyber attack, especially for banks and other companies. So the less information you post online, the less risk you have for your company and for yourself. So definitely The internet is a pretty scary place, especially the dark web. For example, I had a meeting in hospital.
Okay.
And actually, there is a lot of data, not about the hospital, but about patients in the hospital shared online. And the fault is actually blamed on the patients because they fall for fake websites. They plug in their IDs and health card in some really suspicious places. But I mean, they're not really aware of these places. I mean, and I'm sure the same thing applies for any entity around the country.
True.
So I think we really need to make people aware of their data. Like, for example, a health card data that you can find on the dark web is literally like $300, and an ID is like $10, $20.
Interesting. Why is that cheaper?
Like, we need to really reduce how much we share online in general. It's pretty risky and expensive too.
Interesting perspective. So, DR, what's one simple idea people should remember about privacy?
Yeah, of course, people should remember about the privacy because their own data is online, their valuable information is online. So basically, people nowadays treat their devices like a son, like their own son, like their own daughters, if you make it a symbol. And each device is containing the valuable information and valuable data, even maybe the family doesn't know about it. So that's why this person or everyone, me and you and others, care about the privacy in online digital spaces. And yeah, that is all I think.
Gentlemen, thank you for your perspective. I truly enjoyed today's conversation. But before we finally end this conversation, I have one last question for the three of you. Is there someone you'd like to see join in future episodes of the Cyberpulse podcast?
I have a friend of mine, and we actually work on some cybersecurity topics. I can provide you with the information later, but I think it would be pretty nice because he's also experienced in cybersecurity.
Yeah, I need you to tell me his name.
His name is Stein.
Interesting. What about you, DR and Rabel?
I have a very low connection actually with a friend so most of my friends are English and they are busy quite even for my own podcast.
It's okay, it happens. What about you, Rabel?
Yes, I can recommend my friend. Her name is Azma Afzal. She's a cybersecurity specialist from the UK and she's currently here in Doha.
Interesting. I'll see if I can get these people in future podcasts. Let's see how it goes. Again, thank you for your time, and I truly hope you actually enjoyed this.
One last thing. I have just one short sentence if you want to close the episode with it.
Okay.
Yes, I just want to tell the audience that the moment we stop caring about privacy is the moment we stop protecting our personal space. I guess this sentence is so in place regarding the topic we discussed. Thank you so much for your time. A nice meeting all of you.
Gentlemen, truly thank you for this. I enjoyed this conversation and I truly learned a lot from all your input. And to everyone listening, thank you for staying with us through this conversation. I know that topics like spyware and privacy aren't always easy to talk about. They are quiet topics and they are a bit personal. If this episode made you pause even for a moment, then it matters. The goal here isn't fear, it isn't doubt either, and it's not supposed to make you feel helpless or uncomfortable. Basically, the goal here is awareness. Awareness that your digital space is still your space. Awareness that privacy matters even when nothing feels wrong. Awareness that asking questions is a strength. You don't need to be technical to care about privacy. You don't need to know how things work to know when something feels off. Conversations like this help us slow down, pause before privacy fades quietly into the background. If this episode helped you see your digital life a little bit differently, then it's done exactly what it was meant to do. Thank you for being part of the Cyberpulse podcast. Until next time, take care both online and offline.